So we're all children because we are all creating ourselves from having sex internally, from combining our man and woman to bring a child, to bring new life into the universe. And by bringing new life into the universe, we literally create the circumstances where we can experience ourselves. That's what we're doing right now. By communicating our inner chi, our inner shield, our inner G to the outer G, to the outside, by separating from ourselves as nothing, we can then create something that allows us to feel connected with other nothings. We're always doing this. So this is why, like, spirits hate being nothing. If a spirit loves being nothing, then you'll never see them. Now, again, that's why I'm saying, like, hate is great. It's not about actually negatively hating being nothing. It's about you knowing that you can do better and always striving for more. But then that's where this is like the paradox, is why I'm symmetry and why balance is everything. Equilibrium, God of equilibrium right here, is everything. Because the moment you start to do more, you get lost in light. Because that's the thing with the imagination. So now you're projecting out an idea, and as a spirit, if you're so obsessed with being something other than nothing that you are running away from your nothingness, now you're not even in control of your own feelings. Because the fact is, your first fire is only possible because of your emotion. So this is why fire is the first element, right? Elements are the emotion, the element, like there's something with lament. I have to look up the definition for lament. Hold up. Because I don't know why I'm forgetting it. Probably because of whatever. Yeah, oh, here we are, right? A passionate expression of grief or sorrow. So literally, fire is the first element. And a lament, an element in general. This is what we all do as spirits. We are all passionately expressing our grief or sorrow. And that grief or sorrow is us not wanting to be alone in our imaginations. Literally. And this is why Hermeticism is all about sharing with you how to love being alone in your imagination, how to just absolutely thrive there, so you can create all the best things that support you. That's what it's all about. Thriving, leveling up in your own imagination so that you can express and create structures that support your ability to keep connecting with your imagination. And anytime, because look at nature, right? Look at elements. Nature is full of grief and sorrow, right? That's why people think of rain as sad, and thunderstorms and storms in general are whoa, so negative, because it's all about grief or sorrow. It just shows how much spirits want to connect. This is why water is chaotic. It's then the second element. It's reacting to the first element. And that first element is, I'm an individual. And then the second element is, I'll connect with that. And then you're just, as water, constantly reacting to the individual. And now you're informing it, making it possible, but reactively also building your own individuality. So this is the point of you as a spirit using elements to connect with anything outside of yourself. You are helping build your own individuality, your own feeling about who you are when you're outside of your space. Because when you're inside of your space and you're just in your own imagination, it can get to a point, for most people, it gets to a point for most spirits where they get sad. They're alone. They're sad being alone in their imagination. They're in grief and sorrow, literally. So they use elements to passionately express that grief and sorrow. And that's what plays out into nature. And that's why nature is full of so much horrible things. Nature's scary. And now once we express ourselves inside of nature, we are now using our ability to communicate inside of this chaos inside of this natural scariness to create the stability that allows us to protect ourselves. And then that's just shelter, right? That's us building homes as animals, as humans in bodies in general. And of course, the body itself is a shelter for the mind. So, the body is created from four. The four itself is the body. The body's created from the mind. So, 3 creates 4. Just like your mind creates your body. Air creates earth. Communication creates stability. Thus, your body, your ability to stabilize your imagination is always transforming. It's always changing based on how you desire to communicate. Right? Like, I can have all the imaginations I want here and all the feelings here, and I literally will not be able to communicate them to you unless I combine them. And then my communication comes through my voice and my body in certain ways based on how I felt and what idea I was combining with how I felt. Right? Because I can feel a high vibration about negative things, and then that's where we talk about all the important stuff like history. How did we get here? Right? Let's not stay ignorant to all the atrocities in the world, or else the atrocities will keep happening. Like, what? That's the whole thing. But then of course there's the other side, where if you talk too much about atrocities, then you're only focusing on negative things, and now you're very well not able to actually appreciate life, and you're not even in the space to manifest positive things. So, balance, symmetry. See why my trees are getting simmered? So you as a spirit, once you connect with your imagination consistently, you build a body through your mind. So this is why your whole body is a bunch of minds coming together to make up one system, one structure that is like a whole organized organization of organs in your organism, having orgasms. All these orgs is able to make your structure possible. So this is why all earth, all 4 is 5. It is all transforming. All things are dying. The moment you as a spirit connect with a structure, that structure must transform, because your desire to connect in and of itself is polarizing. Like, you as a spirit, you as nothingness, having the desire to feel like being something is polarizing, because that is what, like, that 2 energy creates life. And the fact that you can observe it is what makes life based in the number 3. But then you observing it and actually investing in it is what makes life the 4 and the box. And then this is where stability and wanting, like, just structure in general becomes the main ultimate desire for all spirits. Like, when you see people wanting to live forever, or just want an awesome home, want a lot of money, right? The whole thing with money is that it's a structure. The entities who are using this number to colonize indigenous lands are building a structure by enslaving Negroes so that they can make their needs grow, right? So structures are always transforming based on the spirits who are connecting with them. They have to. It's just that then the desire, the egoic desire for any spirit who has built any structure is that they want that structure to exist forever. So this is why the universe, like, we will always exist forever. It's just that the way that we exist is constantly transforming. But as spirits, the whole thing of what we're doing is perfecting the science in which we create ourselves, and perfecting the science in which we connect with spaces outside of ourselves. This is subconsciously, unconsciously, and consciously, here we are, us doing it consciously, very much, what everyone is doing though. The only reason any spirit is in a body hanging out with other spirits is because they are perfecting the way in which they are able to connect their feelings and imaginations with something outside of themselves. And that is only being powered then by the desire of not wanting to be alone in their imagination. Hence why we use laments to passionately express our grief or sorrow of being alone. And then, boom, now everyone's alone together. Because the fact is, once you feel like you're connected with someone, really you're only actually connecting with the structure that allows you to connect with them. Like, you can feel like you're connecting with a spirit when you're having sex with them, but in reality, you're just connecting with the structure. Right? Like, you're only connecting with the structure that they're using. And that's where you had to go deeper then. And when I say only, I mean that in terms of, like, one night stand. Let's say if you just hook up with a spirit, you have sex with the body, you put your dick in a vagina, you are a vagina that takes a dick, you get the friction going, all the juices go, the vibration feels nice, it's pleasurable, it stimulates your bodies, right? One person, one partner, and this, very much happens a lot, right? is much more invested in the sex than the other partner. And, or perhaps more invested in just the connection, and more invested in putting meaning into the connection, right? And we see that it's generally a feminine thing, because this is what water does. The woman, being the water, naturally plays out giving meaning to things. Whereas the fire isn't about giving meaning to things. It's about just burning through the environment and consuming things because it wants to create. So this is how we create air then. Like, our desire, our fire, is what burns through our space and just infinitely spreads out and is constantly consuming everything we can see, because it just never ends. God, the fire, the dancing imagination of, like, all possibilities. It takes our feelings, it takes our woman to give that meaning, right? So we literally see this play out in relationships, where it's generally the woman or the more feminine spirit that gives more meaning to a relationship or to connections than the other spirit. The other spirit, being more masculine, is not giving that much meaning. So when you as a spirit are giving meaning to your imagination, that is literally manifesting the structure through communication, right? So if you don't give meaning to your thoughts, if you don't feel like your imagination matters before it matters, then it will never matter. Right? If you don't have a woman that believes in your man, then he's never going to be able to build something sustainable. He's never going to be able to build something practical. I would not have been able to build any of the pyramids or any of the structures that I have if I did not believe in myself first. And then I would not have been able to logically build them, because I'm talking about internally. Like, I have all these structures internally to manifest externally, and then manifesting them externally into, Teotihuacan and the pyramids in Giza, just so many pyramids around this planet and other simulations, so many structures, all meant for the ascension of spirits that I have built, are all representations of my internal structure. So literally, me as a spirit, I have to inspire myself. I have to build a spire inside of myself before I can actually be Tehuti and breathe that Hu out, make that human real, bring that Hu, that air, that word of power into reality to actually turn my air into earth. So now the way I communicate my mind solidifies into this mathematically precise structure that aids all the nature spirits that have called me away from my simulation type deal. This is why this is literally like how we create all life. You have to feel like your imagination matters to you before you make it matter. So It's very easy when we're in a realm that teaches us to believe in what we can see, to feel like our imaginations don't matter. And the more we feel like our imaginations don't matter, the less they do, because we are now, as spirits, not creating the situation where they do matter. We're not able to create the circumstance where we make our feelings real, reality, reps, right? So when you see anything that's real, know that it's a reflection, a representation of what a mind did. The only reason you can see the pyramids that I've built is because my mind consistently communicated externally how I communicate internally. So it's all reps. It's all about consistency and just doing something over and over. And that's why muscles get stronger when they do something over and over. You're never going to be strong if you go to the gym once, right? Like, that's the reps. So here we are, just bringing all this down to the physical again, as far as for all my Virgos who love to exercise, and in general, everyone who loves to exercise. I haven't had many people in my life yet who are super athletic, or even like as athletic as I'd like. But also, like, I've been living a life where I'm forced by white supremacy to sit all day every day. So most people are literally indoctrinated, forced by American lifestyles to not move and stay sedentary. And then everything that we do is just built upon that and keeps us locked. And I mean, look at our roads, right? Like, we can't even step outside and use our bodies healthily. Like, we are forced to walk in a single straight file line based on how roads have been paved over all this land that was stolen from indigenous peoples. So, unhealthy. So, the moment you connect with the structure, you're transforming it. So this is why everything in physical reality is transforming, because they're all fours being made by a three. And that three is constantly going back and forth between nothing and something. Right? That mind is constantly going back and forth between desire and desirelessness. And this is why all energy, all structures are vibrating at certain frequencies. So, when you see physical reality and you see everything is transforming, then that in and of itself, that 5 is what 6 is. And now we have the full totality of 0 to 6. How we have sex internally just from feeling like being something other than nothing. We create our imagination and then we connect with that so that we can communicate it in a way that matters. That's literally all sex. So once we make structures that allow us to connect with other spirits, all we then play out is having sex with these other spirits. And now the thing that we did to be able to make our own imaginations matter is what we do with each other, so we can make each other's imaginations matter. And this is how we build families. So this is why 5 is representative of who you want to dive into the universe with. Dive into deeper feelings, deeper emotions, deeper waters with. Phi is who you want to die with. Phi is your family. So all of physical reality is spirits who are like, hey, I want to die with you. Why? Because we resonate on the same ideas. So all the spirits that are making up your body, they want to die together. They want to fight together because they want to connect with each other on supporting your idea. And that allows them to resonate more with each other than they could with other spirits who don't support your idea. And then we literally see this trickle out into family, friends, all social networks, any kind of social web, right? It's all about spirits making their own imagination matter. And as they make their imagination matter, because they feel like connecting with themselves, they feel like watering their fire with their feelings to create the air that then stabilizes into earth, and then they keep watering that earth to actually create the fruits in nature and a simulation, so to speak, that allows them to bring fruits and bring value and bring fresh life to other spirits and be able to connect in more harmonious and greater ways. It's only through doing that are we then able to create the circumstance where we are now, and then we're able to feel like we're family, and now we feel like spirits relate with us because we related with ourselves so much, right? It took us as a spirit, it takes you as a spirit being hermetic, going in to your S, bringing your S into your T to increase your ST ability, increase your stability, so that you actually build a structure that you feel like represents yourself. And now when spirits connect with you, you are happy. You feel healthy, hermetic, and harmonious in your home, in your heart, because you're actually bringing value to the universe and you feel like you're being understood for who you are. And this is where then you actually build your family. And this is how we build all bodies in general. This is us expanding the universe live right now in that way. Just in, like always, like just you expressing yourself is you working to build a family of sorts based on how you've connected with yourself. And you are expressing how you connected with yourself in the hopes that you'll be able to connect with other spirits who resonate with the same ideas that you're kicking out, aka your individuality. We all as spirits want to be respected and seen for the individuals that we organically and truly are. It's like, as a spirit, there's no point in you stepping out of your space if you're not going to get recognized for who you truly are, just straight up, right? And everyone feels that on a subconscious level, okay? Unless you're like just straight up a servant spirit who's like, no, I mean, it's important to just be part of the collective and be what another individual tells you. Like, okay, yeah, got it. Like, you're the opposite of an individual. Like, that's the point. So you would be a spirit that is running away from your individuality so much that you want to just serve an individual that you feel like is a representation of you, but you don't even feel good enough about your own individual to see yourself in that one. So you just need to project all your feelings onto that individual in terms of, let me worship you, God, because you give me life and I'm not good enough without you and I'm nothing without you. And then it's like, man. So once we as spirits are using physical reality to express how we have sex internally, externally, this is where 5 to 6 becomes 7. 7 is your severing consciousness. 7 is your mentality that you are expressing through physical reality. So you as a mind, as the 3, are transforming this 4. You are transforming your body into phi to express how you 6, to express how you have sex, so you can also have sex with spirits that you resonate with. And that in and of itself is an expression of your 7. So this is why we always appear separate. We are always going to appear like 7. We are always cutting through life because air is cutting. So our minds, our mentalities, just our ability to communicate is what cuts through reality. It's what cuts through feelings. It's what cuts connections, right? So this is why the way you communicate cuts connections. And thus, the way that you communicate is very important to how you express your separation, because that's the whole point of you having an imagination, is that you are imagining something that is different than any other spirit. So now it's important for you to sever in to use your consciousness to communicate your imagination in whatever relatable, healthy way you want to. You do you, whatever. But in general, like when you're a spirit who creates a body inside of any simulation, the goal there is that you are cutting through. You are using your consciousness to cut into reality so that you can show everyone who you are. So this is why 7 then is kind of like supposed to be a lucky number, because it's just about spirits resonating really hard with being conscious and being able to be so lucky that they can create the situation where they actually appear separate and they can be seen for being separate. So when we all appreciate that we're separate from each other, this is what the universe is. This is why 7 is a lucky number, really. On like the deepest subconscious, like on a positive level, it's because 7 is like, wow, aren't we lucky to be alive? Aren't we lucky to be having 6 with each other in 5 cycle reality, so that we can use our minds, our 3s, to transform these structures, to build and transform structures, these 4s that allow us to connect our 1s, our individual imaginations, our individual egos inside of this space, our space. And then that's where we can feel like we're all in one space, because in reality all of our spaces are separate from one another. We are all individual spaces. So it takes us creating energy, vibrating at a certain frequency, to create the opportunity to create the light that actually becomes dense, that allows us to practicalize and stabilize how we communicate our imagination, how we connect with our imagination, and how we feel as spirits, how we see the universe. Because all of us as spirits have our own individual perspective based on us having our individual souls. That is what number 8 is. 8 is the soul. So the point of us, this is the paradox, right, of life. We want the balance. We want hey, I'm separate from you. Let's connect on that. Hey, I'm an individual. I'm a completely individual and unique from you. Meaning that you are completely individual and unique from me. Let's connect on that. I'm a complete fire in the sky, unrelatable to you. You're a complete separate fire in the sky, unrelatable from me. 2 totally separate stars that are both too hot to touch. We're too hot to touch each other. Let's connect on that. And then we get wet. And then that's the universe. We create water. So this is then where everything in the universe is a star. Because everything in the universe is us using fire to create water, and then it's all air, and it looks like us being stars. It looks like us being a 7. It looks like us shining our light inside of darkness, inside of this web that connects us, because it's the point of us being balanced in how we create air, we create life, through combining our thoughts and feelings, through combining literally our fire and water, our man and woman, through having sex constantly and just cycling through that. So this is why life is psychedelic. Life is psychedelic. Alright? It's all water. It's all water cycles. Whatever you're doing, you've been doing it, and you're just like perfecting how you do it. You're just doing it better now. I mean, ideally, whatever. But I mean, that's ideally. Ideally, you are a spirit that is building upon what you've already done in past lives, right? Like that's what you see me doing as Hermes right now, speaking English and developing symmetry into everything that symmetry is, and just expressing myself. I'm building upon what I've done in past lives. And I, as a spirit, can only ride my vibration when I express myself, because I can't run away from my own feelings. I can't run away from my own creation. That's white supremacists to be like, okay, I'm in a body, I want to transplant my mind into another body. you're lost in this idea of running away from your own creation, and it's just a physical manifestation of how you hate your own feelings. That's why you hate Negroes. That's why you call us the N-word, and why you need us to make your money matter. You need to enslave us to build your structures and steal everything that we create so that you can feel creative and you can feel like God. It's all just because you hate being alone. Like, you're not even hermetic. Like, you steal all my tablets, you steal all my work, and literally with projection being perception, you can't even perceive most of the wisdom that I wrote in all that stuff. Like, they're holding on to so much stuff that I have, and they can't even actually decipher it or intelligently get what I'm saying, because literally they're blinded by their own imagination. These white supremacists, a light supremacist is blinded by their own imagination. So this is why projection is perception. All right, spirits can never get outside of themselves. A spirit is never going to be able to connect with you outside of whatever idea they're connecting on with themselves. So like, it doesn't matter how much I love and like show all my give all my soul to a Christian, right? Like, I can have Christian friends. I'm not even going to get into that because that's details, and we're talking about numbers here. This is already long. But I can show all my love to a Christian for years, and the moment I tap more into my spirituality and express myself, they'll throw all of that relationship away, because it doesn't matter to them as much as their relationship with this other individual idea. And because I'm not connected with that individual idea like they are, no matter how much I fast, no matter how much I communicate about the scriptures in a greater capacity than they can or their pastors can, no matter how I'm communicating, the fact is that other individual is blinded by this idea. And the only reason they were connecting with me is because they were projecting that idea into me. So I'm speaking from a place of, I fasted so much that I've had Christians who want to connect with me because they're projecting like, wow, he's like Jesus. But then I'm speaking on like true spiritual matters in terms of how we create life. And because they're a spirit that wants to feel saved and they don't want to feel responsible for their own imagination, they refuse to resonate with me talking about, with great power comes great responsibility, that hermetic stuff. Literally, Spider-Man is riding Hermes. Straight up. I grew up every day looking into a circular white mirror that my mom wrote, "Chase is great. With great power comes great responsibility." And it was like really deep in a psychedelic trip where I was learning about myself and like had flashbacks to grade school and waking up every day and like getting ready in front of that small little white circular mirror. And it's wild considering the synchronicities. Like, the spirits just hit me really hard with all those memories and realizations of just every day waking up. Chase is great. With great power comes great responsibility. Triple your seed, Chase Clarence Calloway. Keep doing what you're doing. Be symmetry. You got it. It's wild. So it's beautiful. Like, I'm so grateful to be me. I'm so grateful to be connected to my family and to really that, man. Honestly, to be connected with my family. Because once my dog died, I was so sad. And for me to get to connect with Max and then realize that he's a bigger spirit and then he awakens me to being a bigger spirit after I went through the whole journey of just building up this ego from the bottom up to then realize like, oh, well, always been this. Just proved it to myself. Yeah, and this is all set up, right? So that's where, I mean, my mirror growing up with the white circle being like, it had silver stars. Chase is great. With great power comes great responsibility. That's a specific spiritual synchronicity subconsciously set up to anchor in how I connect, how my ego connects with the simulation. So that's the point of 7 becoming 8. So the moment we are severing in, the moment we are expressing how we use five, how we transform our structure to communicate how we have sex so we can have sex with other individuals, as we sever in, as we separate all of our individuality, by doing that, that naturally builds connections, or else there'd be no point. So then that, right, like, because the whole thing is we are expressing our individuality so we can connect with other individuals. So 7 becomes 8. Literally then, once we are consciously expressing our imagination, all of our gods, our internal gods, to the external, now we're able to vibe for infinity. That is 8. That's a subconscious world. Just infinite vibe. We are all infinitely connected underwater because we feel like, yeah, that. We feel like connecting. I was going to say building, but even that, I mean, spirits don't feel like building. Lots of spirits don't. So that would be a projection on my part. But it naturally happens. We feel like building a life with other spirits. And then that takes like building families and like having experiences with other spirits. And then that's just what memories are and how you get any kind of support at all. That's what your body is. A bunch of spirits who are building families on supporting you. And you're one big happy family. And we're all one big happy family based on whatever ideas that we support, right? That's any corporation, any government that you're a part of, is the whole point. Everyone is united underneath one idea, right? Underneath one sun. All of us as spirits are able to communicate because we're consuming the UV light rays from one sun, right? We're all getting hit by one light. So now we can all use the same light that we are underneath to communicate with each other. Since we're subservient to this one light, it is the light that we are all able to, quote unquote, understand, right? So now we can understand each other by using this light that we are standing under to express our individuality externally.